Hey guys, Marstingan here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video. And so the LR EZA for STR Broly is going to go live in the game somewhere around 12 hours from now. And so as always, we are posting an EZA team building guide. And yeah, this is the first LR EZA for global. So if you played JP and you did the Goku and Frieza one, then you kind of know the gist of how this works. But let's go through it here anyway. So it is not a 30 stage EZA. As you can see, there are only 10 stages, and then just like a normal one, you can go past stage 10 to just get a bunch of Hercule medals. So as you can see, along the way, you get all of the rainbow medals that you need. They're the only ones that you need to rainbow to EZA and LR. And you do get a bunch of STR orbs, and you get a few Kais as well. So if we have a look at the total rewards, you get the medals you need, you get the 5 Kais to put them up to SA 25, so that's really good. And you do still get 30 stones. As you can see here on the far right column, each stage gives you 3 stones instead of 1. So even though it's 10 stages, you do still get 30 stones. And you get a few STR orbs as well, so pretty decent if you need those for some other units. So let's look at his weaknesses here. So just like the Goku and Frieza one, he has a weakness to legendary power, so LRs will do more damage against him. And then his actual weakness in terms of units you can bring who will take less damage from him is Hybrid Saiyans. Now, the one thing you can see compared to like a 30 stage EZA, nowhere anywhere does it say any typings that are not going to be useful against him. So that does give you a lot of extra options when it comes to team building, although obviously you kind of want to bring as many LRs as possible. And it does say here, characters that are SSR or lower can only cause less than 2 million damage. But, I mean, I can't imagine anyone's going to be bringing any non-UR characters. So, if we have a look at the Hybrid Saiyans category here, there's a bunch of different leaders that we can use. Obviously, God Goku's on here, even though he's not a Hybrid Saiyan, so we won't be using him. There's a whole bunch of sub-leads as well. But as always with these guides, we will be going over my top picks as well as some honourable mentions. So, when it comes to leader, the Tech Gohan is going to be super good just because he's a really, really good defensive unit. So, obviously, he's going to be very, very helpful. He's not going to do crazy amounts of damage because he's not an LR, but because he does build up over time as you get into the later stages, he'll do okay. But he's really just there for the leader skill and then for the defense. And then, of course, the other option is the Int Future Gohan. Both of these guys have really good leader skills for Hybrid Saiyans. The Int Future Gohan is really good defensively as well. He won't be able to transform on this team unless you bring the Trunks. I think there's 2 Trunkses that we're going to talk about. So if you do bring this guy, you could still get the opportunity to transform him, and then he is going to be very solid. But those are 2 options for your leader skill. Now, of course, the first big unit that we're going to talk about is AGL LR Gohan. So he is like the #1 top unit for this EZA because he's a Hybrid Saiyan, he's an LR. He does a crazy amount of damage. He's still really, really good, even in his Super Saiyan 1 form, because obviously in this event, you're never going to see him transform. But he's still going to be really solid. He only needs to super attack a couple of times, and then his defense is so insanely high that he's going to be perfectly fine defensively, whilst also dishing out a ton of damage. Now, he does have the Kamehameha leader skill and then Super AGL as a secondary, so it is totally possible to build a team using him as the leader if you don't want to go for an actual Hybrid Saiyans like leader skill build. But obviously there are certain units like some of the Trunkses and stuff that you won't be able to bring if you restrict yourself to the Kamehameha category. And so one of those units is, of course, the Tech LR Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. He's going to be insanely good for this event as well because, you know, he's a nuker, he deals a ton of damage. You're not going to get the extra effects because you're not going to have a Movie Heroes Goku on the team, but I've used him on, like, for example, the Super Saiyan 2 team without a Movie Hero Goku, and he's still really, really good. Obviously, he can super attack multiple times in one turn. He raises his defense every time he super attacks, regardless of which one you do. So, I mean, if you have him on turn 1 and you can get off like 3 super attacks straight away, even though he's Tech and not AGL, he's already going to be good enough defensively that he's not going to get absolutely destroyed by the Broly. So he's going to be super good. And then another non-LR that I wanted to fit in here, of course, is the new Trunks. So if you're somebody who pulled the new Trunks from the BROLY banner, he is going to be super useful in this event because he's got attack and defense 200%, has a medium chance to launch an additional super, and if you're getting his partner super by running him alongside a Youth Gohan, like the two LRs that we just covered, he infinitely stacks his defense. So you can get off a couple of supers, raise your defense even more, and he provides Hybrid Saiyans with 3 ki and 40% attack and defense. So having this guy on rotation with either of those LR Gohans that we just went over, like, he's going to make them do so much more damage. And then obviously he's going to be really solid himself as well. So if you pulled him, even though he's STR and not an LR, he's probably like an auto include on this team just because he's such a good unit for a Hybrid Saiyans team. So going back to LRs, we obviously have the Super Saiyan Future Trunks, the Prime Battle one. This is what I was talking about. If you want to run the Int Future Gohan as your leader, bring this guy so you can actually get him to transform. He's not ideal in harder events with only one enemy. He obviously gets all this extra buff when there's 2 or more enemies. But at the end of the day, he's an AGL LR Hybrid Saiyan. So he's going to be good on this event. He's got decent links. He'll do okay. I would imagine if you're bringing him, probably use him as a 3rd slot floater, but he's going to be very good as well. Then we have, of course, the AGL Trunks and Goten. A unit that doesn't really see a lot of love anymore, but being an AGL Hybrid Saiyans LR, they're obviously going to be super good. Little bit of RNG with their ki, so you've got to be careful. Obviously bringing supports is going to be really useful for them. As well as there is another option for JP only, which we'll highlight a bit later on. So then we have the Gobros. So the Gobros are another one that you could choose to use them as a leader because they have Goku family and siblings bond. So whilst you can't obviously bring any of the Trunkses, that means you can bring units like the Tech Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, who isn't on Kamehameha. Obviously we talked about that with the AGL Gohan's leader skill. So this one is a bit more encompassing, but you still can't bring any of the Trunkses. But if you're not bringing any, if you're just bringing a Goku family team anyway, even if you don't have the Gobros, they would probably be a solid choice for the friend lead. Because once you get to the 3rd turn of an EZA, as long as you've lost a bit of HP, you're only facing one enemy, you can do the active skill, do a whole bunch of extra damage for free. So I think they are still a very solid unit to bring. Obviously as a Hybrid Saiyan LR, they can get a bunch of attacks off, build up their passive, and so even though they're not AGL, they're not going to take an absolute ton of damage from him. So they are a perfect choice as well. So then I threw in the B-Pan, so I thought this would be an interesting option to put in because obviously she's available to all players, she is free to play. She can tank reasonably well as long as you actually get her high chance of reducing damage by 55% to go off, and then of course she recovers 33% of damage dealt as HP. So because she is an LR, even though she's not AGL, she is going to be able to do damage to the Broly because of the legendary power link, and then that's obviously going to give you some free healing, which is super useful because obviously you can't use items in an EZA event, so she will be very useful. I don't know if I'll use her on my team build, but she's someone you can add in as like a little bit of support because, you know, you've got her active skill as well in turn 3, so you can do a ton of extra damage. But by support, I really mean the fact that you can get those free heals. But she can be a double-edged sword because if you don't get the high chance of reducing damage go off, she can take quite a lot of damage. So it's an interesting one to consider. Then we have this Pan. So if you're going to bring an AGL heavy team anyway, like all the AGL LRs that we mentioned, this Pan is of course the 50% support for Super AGL. So if your team is very AGL heavy, she's really good to bring as an off-rotation support unit. Obviously, a lot of people don't have the supports, and those that do, like myself, I don't think I have dupes in any of the ones that I have. So at 55%, she's not super good defensively, but she'll do okay, especially if you can pick up enough orbs. Mainly just because she has the type advantage and is a Hybrid Saiyan, so she'll do okay. But that bonus that she's going to give, the 50% extra attack, especially if you are running all the AGL LRs that we mentioned, you're going to be able to do so much extra damage by having her on the rotation. And then lastly, this is the JP only option, the AGL Goten. I mean, we do have him on global, but I mean, you don't want to use this. So he is Easy Aid on JP, and he is much, much better. He's very, very strong. And then, of course, to activate his full passive, you have to run him alongside a Kid Trunks, which, of course, you can activate with the LR Goten and Trunks. So you could have LR Goten and Trunks and this guy on rotation together, and then imagine that rotation with, like, that AGL Pan floating in. They're going to be able to do a crazy amount of damage. I've seen screenshots of this guy and the physical Trunks from JP hitting like 4 and 5 million attack stats. So even though he's not an LR, so he will do slightly reduced damage, but he's also a really good link partner for the Goten and Trunks. So he's going to be a very solid option on the team as well. So going back to the category, we'll go over any other units that we sort of failed to mention. I didn't bring up this Gohan because his defense is just not very good. And then obviously you don't really want to bring physical units against the STR Broly. But ideally, like, if you can just make a team that is like Tech Gohan and then these 5 LRs, you're probably not going to have a huge amount of trouble. But this Gohan is a decent support unit. Obviously has the same name as the AGL LR, so if you're missing the AGL LR, he can be a decent fill-in. Super Saiyan 3 Trunks is a decent tank, but it doesn't really do a lot of damage. And then as we go down here, I mean, we got the Tech Icarus and Gohan is always an option because he can heal you once you drop below 30%, but his own defense is really not very good. And speaking of EZA staples, she's obviously not going to show up on this list because she's not a Hybrid Saiyan, but this is another event where you could bring the Tech Caulifla because she will have a 100% chance to dodge. So even though she doesn't fit under the leader skill, you could just bring her on the team so that she can dodge everything and not take any damage. So other than that, because you want to prioritize LRs, I wouldn't necessarily say any of these other ones like super stand out as a unit that you have to use, because you can't stun, so units like the Ghost Tanks are not going to be super useful. High School Gohan is probably actually still a good choice, because he's a super type support unit that also has a decent amount of damage reduction built in, so even though he's not an AGL unit, he'll probably be able to defend reasonably well. And of course, we don't mention the STR Ultimate Gohan, even though he's a Hybrid Saiyan's leader, because he's just really bad. And then I guess this guy's pretty decent overall as well, especially if you're bringing a bunch of Majin Buu Saga units, because he does support them. And then this STR Pan can be quite good. If you're limited on your team building options, her and B Pan as a rotation are actually very, very good. So there's a few honourable mentions in there. Let me know what you guys think. If there's any units that you think I should have gone over that we didn't really talk about. Even units like this EZA, like the Family Kamehameha Gohan. I mean, he's not ideal, but, you know, he's an AGL Hybrid Saiyan at the end of the day, so he could be useful on the team. Some of the sub-leaders, obviously we looked at the Trunks. Like, sub-leaders that have a 120 leader skill could be kind of useful. Like, even running this guy as a lead and then the 5 LRs would actually be really strong, and then just bring like a friend like Tech Gohan. That would actually be a very solid team build. So let me know what you guys think down below, and obviously let me know if there's any units that you think that I missed. Good luck with the EZA. Hopefully it's not too difficult for you guys. I am working an odd shift pattern at the moment, so I don't know if I'll be able to stream the EZA as soon as it comes out. I might do it a little bit later on in the day. But let me know what you guys think down below. I'm very much looking forward to EZAing this Broly. I only have him at 79%, but I'm really looking forward to seeing how well he can do in the game. The only thing that's a little bit disappointing is obviously because of the same name update not being out on global, you can't use this guy and the new Broly on the same team at the moment, which is unfortunate, but it's going to be very interesting to test him out. So let me know what you guys think down below. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Master Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.